I can't see her, but hi, baby.
Hi, my sweet angel.
But we don't use her name on camera, Mom, so just be quick. Hi, guys. Okay, let's make coffee for everybody. Hi, everybody. We are making coffee for everyone. And Grandma's here holding the baby. So we're gonna make Grandma's coffee first. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Okay. Let's empty this so we have space. Good morning, good morning. Okay. Okay. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Anyone have any fun plans today? Special plans? Alright. Coffee, coffee, coffee. The Aristocats mug is great. Yes, I agree. I love this mug. This is actually Secret Husband's favorite mug, specifically because of the shape. He loves the shape of this mug, so he uses it even though it's pink. Because actually, all the mugs we're using today are pink. But just because he loves the shape of it, which is fun, Thank you, Priscilla. It was something that I got while I was pregnant because I needed comfy clothes, and I haven't worn it in a while, but it's finally getting warm again, so, it's good to wear because it's shorts. And I was trying it on to see if it would fit to take to Florida, and it fits pretty nicely, I have to say. Yeah, it's a good short set. It's nice. So, anyway, I've just been cleaning out my clothes, actually, because, obviously, when you have a baby, you change sizes. And so yesterday I cleaned out 3 drawers, which is pretty good. And today I'm going to clean out the closet and take all the empty space and use it for my wraps. That's what I'm going to do. Pretty exciting. Yes, yes, yes. So we're making coffee because I did not get any sleep. The 4-month sleep regression is intense, you guys. It's intense. Yeah, not gonna lie. We did not sleep. She and I did not sleep. But that's okay. My mom has her, actually. She's sitting on the couch with her. Grandma has the baby. She's giving her lots of hugs and kisses. I can hear them from here. Oh my God, you are super lucky, Susan. I don't know that life, clearly. I don't know. What? You need us? You need? No? Oh, you're not talking to me, you're talking to her. She's talking to the baby, I thought she was talking to me. I am also sorry we got no sleep. She was up so many times last night, you guys. It was almost unbelievable. Like, so when I went to put her to bed, usually when I put her to bed, like she sleeps for a long time. Last night, I put her down, she slept for 10 minutes while I went in and like brushed my teeth and washed my face. By the time I came back out from brushing my teeth and washing my face, she was awake again already. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll hold her for a little while longer. And then she kept waking up anyway. Hey, welcome back, Liz. So it didn't matter whether I was holding her or she was in the crib or whatever. No sleepies. How's everyone? You didn't get sleep either, but I imagine it's not a sleep regression. House hunting, you mean, Priscilla? We're working on it, but we have, a little while to go before we really can do anything. There's a lot to figure out. Lots to figure out, but we will work on it.
The house is almost empty.
Yeah. Somebody thinks that's funny. You woke up around 2 or 3. We were up at 2 or 3 also. Yeah. Yes, we were. We were also awake because, like I said, that sleep regression, no joke. No joke. All right, come on, milk. You can do it. Froth yourself. Froth, froth, froth the milk. Froth the milk. Mommy needs a coffee, so. Oh, we did it for like an hour already this morning. We did it this morning already.
Okay.
You want me to get you the bouncer to put her in?
No. I just wondered if she wanted to do something different.
All right. Okie dokie, artichoke. Let's see. Wow, it's been a long time. I got your FAQ page. What? What? I didn't even know that was a thing. Grandma, did you notice that right in front of you there's pictures of the baby?
I saw them.
That was a Mother's Day gift for me. Isn't that nice? You guys can't see it, but there's pictures of the baby. I hear Secret Husband. Do we get you don't hear Secret Husband, you hear Grandma. Secret Husband is sleeping, poor thing. He was working till like 3:30 this morning. What? Yeah. Do you want this to put her in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See if she likes that.
She does. She loves this thing. And if you put her, if you hand her to me, I put her, you can sit in the floor chair with her and drink your coffee, and she will use her Chewy. You love your Chewy, huh? 1, 2. Well, she has one attached to this. Look at that. This is her favorite.
We're gonna shut this off.
Look at this. There you go. Isn't that exciting? Your favorite Chewy. And Grandma will sit with you and show you toys. And Grandma has her coffee right here. I can read. Here you go. I can read a book. Well, silently.
Oh.
But she has toys. You can show her. You just bounce her. She loves to be bounced. And she's going to listen to me read. She always does. Hi, my beautiful angel. Who's my beautiful girl? Hi, Cher. How are you? I'm here. Don't worry. I'm still here. So how is everyone? Is anyone coming to putty making class today? We're making putty at 3 p.m. today. The recipe is perfected, you guys. I tested it yesterday in a single size, and it is chef's kiss. Oh, can you bounce her?
I will.
She is begging for your attention. Even so, it'll be recorded, you guys. So if you can't make it exactly at the time, it'll be recorded. Okay, so anyone who didn't know, on Saturday, we did have to jump a little early, so we were part of the way through a chapter. So we're gonna finish, let's see which chapter was it? I think it was 4. No, it's 6. Okay, sorry, it shows what I know. We're finishing chapter 6 right now, and then we will do chapter 7. Okay, here we go. Since lunch had been substantial, he didn't feel deprived by a dinner of yesterday's cabbage soup and a plate of red beans. At least they weren't lima beans. And when Tigress scooped up the last cupful into an elegant china bowl and garnished it with a few fresh herbs from the rooftop garden, it didn't look too humble to offer to Lucy Gray. Presentation mattered to her. As for the beans, well, she was starving. Optimism flowed through him as he walked to the zoo. Morning attendance may have been scanty, but now visitors were pouring in so quickly he wasn't sure he'd get a spot up front at the monkey house. His newfound status helped. As people recognized him, they allowed him to pass and even told the others to clear a path. He was no common citizen. He was a mentor. He made straight for his corner only to find the twins, Polo and Dee Dee Ring, camped out on his rock. The pair embraced their twinship wholeheartedly, sporting identical outfits, hair buns, and sunny personalities. They cleared out without Coriolanus having to ask. "You can take it, Corio," Dee Dee said as she pulled her brother up from the rock. "Yeah, sure, we already fed our tributes," added Polo. "Hey, sorry you got stuck with the proposal." "Yeah, we voted for Pup, but no one backed us up." They laughed and ran off into the crowd. Lucy Gray joined him immediately, and even though he wasn't dining with her, she devoured the beans after admiring how fancy they looked. Yes, all of our classes are always in Pacific Standard Time. Anytime I post anything for a live, it's always going to be in Pacific because I'm in California. "Have you gotten any more food from the crowd?" he asked her. "I got an old cheese round from a lady, and a couple of kids fought over some bread that a man threw in. I can see all kinds of people holding food, but I think they're afraid to get too close to us, even though the peacekeepers are in here with us now." She pointed to the back wall of the cage, where a quartet of peacekeepers stood guard. "Maybe they'll feel safer now that you're here." Coriolanus noticed a boy of about 10 hovering in the crowd, holding a boiled potato. He gave him a wink and a wave of the hand, and the boy took a look up at his father, who nodded approval. He moved behind Coriolanus, still keeping his distance. "Did you bring that potato for Lucy Gray?" Coriolanus asked. "Yes, I saved it from dinner. I wanted to eat it, but I wanted to feed her even more," he said. "Well, go on then," Coriolanus encouraged him. "She doesn't bite. Mind you, though, use your manners." The boy took a shy step in her direction. "Well, hey there," said Lucy Gray. "What's your name?" "Horace," said the boy. "I saved you my potato." "Well, aren't you sweet? Should I eat it now or save it?" she asked. "Now!" The boy held it out to her gingerly. Lucy Gray took the potato as though it were a diamond. "Well, my, that's about the nicest potato I have ever seen." The boy blushed with pride. "Okay, here I go." She took a bite and closed her eyes and almost seemed to swoon. "Oh, it's the nicest tasting, too. Thank you, Horace." The cameras closed in on them as Lucy Gray received a withered carrot from the little girl and a spoiled soup bone from the girl's grandmother. Someone tapped on Coriolanus. I'm so sorry, I can't do it. You have to stop with that. You're gonna drive me to distraction. Gotta use something else to play with her. I can't keep doing voices with the little jingle in the background. Someone tapped on Coriolanus' shoulder, and he turned to see Ploribus Bell standing there with a small can of milk. "For old time's sake," he said with a smile, and punched a couple of holes in the lid, passing it to Lucy Gray. "I enjoyed your act at the reaping. Did you write that song yourself?" Some of the more accommodating or possibly hungriest tributes began to station themselves up by the bars. They sat on the ground, held out their hands, ducked their heads, and waited. Here and there, someone, usually a child, would run up and place something in their hands and then jump back. The tributes began to compete for attention, drawing the cameras back to the center of the cage. A limber little girl from District 9 did a back handspring, and she received a bread roll. "Hey, Jen, I know it's because you don't have work. We're barely just a couple pages into the other chapter. The previous chapter, I mean." The boy from District 7 made a good show of juggling 3 walnuts. The audience rewarded those who would perform with applause and more food. Lucy Gray and Coriolanus resumed their picnic seats and watched the show. "Well, we're a regular circus troupe here, aren't we?" she said as she picked bits of meat off of her bone. "None of them can hold a candle to you," said Coriolanus. The mentors
who had been avoided before were now approached by their tributes if they offered food. When Sejanus arrived with a bag of hard-boiled eggs and a wedge of bread, all the tributes ran up to him except for Marcus, who made it a point of ignoring him entirely. Coriolanus nodded at them. You were right about Sejanus and Marcus. They used to be classmates in District 2. Well, that is complicated. At least we don't have to deal with that, she said. Yeah, this is complicated enough. He meant it as a joke, but it fell flat. It was complicated enough, and it got more so by the minute. She gave him a wistful smile. Sure would have been nice to meet you under different circumstances. Like how? It was a dangerous line of questioning, but he couldn't help himself. Oh, like if you came to one of my shows and you heard me sing, she said, and afterwards you came up to chat and maybe we'd have a drink and a dance or two. He could imagine it, her singing somewhere like Pluribus's nightclub, him catching her eye, connecting before they'd ever even met. Yeah, and I'd come back the next night. Like we'd had all the time in the world, she said. Their musing was interrupted by a loud whoop-hoo, and the tributes from District 6 began a funny dance, and the Ring twins got some of the audience to clap along in rhythm, and after that, things became almost festive. The crowd ventured closer, and a few people began to converse with the captives. On the whole, Coriolanus thought this was a good development. It would take more than Lucy Gray to justify the prime-time slot for the interviews. He decided to let the other tributes have their moment and to ask her to sing at closing time. In the meantime, he filled her in on the mentors' discussion that day and stressed what her popularity could mean in the arena now that there was the possibility that people could send gifts. Secretly, he worried about his resources again. He needed more affluent viewers who could afford to buy her things. It would look bad if a Snow's tribute received nothing in the arena. Maybe he should make it a provision of the proposal that you couldn't send your own tribute gifts. Otherwise, how could he bother to compete? Certainly not with Sejanus. And there, by the bars, Arcane had laid out a little picnic for her tribute, a fresh loaf of bread, a block of cheese, and were those grapes? How could she afford grapes? Maybe the travel industry really was picking up. And as he watched Arcane slice the cheese with a mother-of-pearl handled knife, her tribute, a talkative girl from District 10, squatted right in front of her, eagerly leaning into the bars. Arcane made a thick sandwich, but didn't hand it right over. She seemed to be lecturing the girl about something. It was quite a speech. At one point, the girl reached through the bars, and Arcane withdrew the sandwich, drawing a laugh from the audience. She turned and flashed them a grin. She shook her finger at the tribute, held the sandwich out again, and then pulled it away a second time, much to the crowd's amusement. Oh, she is playing with fire there, Lucy Gray observed. Arcane waved to the crowd and then took a bite of the sandwich herself. Coriolanus couldn't see the tribute's face was darkening. The muscles were tightening in her neck. He could see something else, too. Her fingers slid down the bar, darting out and circling the hand of the knife. He started to rise, opening his mouth to shout a warning, but it was too late. In one movement, the tribute had yanked Arcane forward and slit her throat. Well, that's what you get. You shouldn't do that. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, and then we're going to read chapter 7.
Horror story.
What?
Reading a horror story.
It's the Hunger Games.
He slits in his throat.
He did. Because she was messing with him and pretending to give him a sandwich and taking it away. He's hungry.
Oh, jeez.
What would you do if you'd been hungry for that many days?
This is. I've never read the
Oh, it's so good. You should read it. Or you should watch our account of it on YouTube. You can watch me read it for multiple days. Just play it in the background while you're at work, Mom. Who's a happy girl? Does she have the hiccups?
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Right, Amanda? Yeah, that ain't nothing yet.
Is there a way to take her out without lifting her out?
No, but I can lift her out. But she might want to get rid of her hiccups. If she does, I'll feed her real quick. Here, I'll take her. I'll get her. Do you have hiccups, honey? Do you have the hiccups, my angel?
A little bit.
You want a little bit of food to get rid of your hiccups? Should Mommy give you a little bit of food to get rid of your hiccups? Yeah. Who's my sweet angel? Who's my angel? Is it you? Are you my best girl? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give it to you right now. I'm going to feed you right now so that you can get rid of these awful hiccups. We hate the hiccups, huh? We hate them. Yeah, we do. I see you. I know you're hungry. Give me 1 second. Mommy's getting it. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. There you go. There you go. Okay. Oh, yes, she's a lucky charm today. You're Lucky Charms today, aren't you? You're Lucky Charms, huh? Yeah. Okay, chapter 7. Here we go. Shrieks came from the audience members nearest to the attack. Arcane's face drained of color as she dropped the sandwich and clawed at her neck. The blood poured down her fingers as the District 10 girl released her and gave a small shove. Arcane stepped back, turning and reaching out a dripping hand, imploring the audience for help. People were either too stunned or too scared to respond. Many drew away as she fell to her knees and began to bleed out. Coriolanus' initial reaction was to recoil like the others, to grab hold of the monkey house bars for support, but Lucy Gray hissed, "Help her!" He remembered the cameras were streaming live to the Capitol audience. He had no idea what he could do for Arcane, but he did not want to be seen cringing and clinging. His terror was a private thing, not meant for public display. He forced his legs into motion and was the first to reach Arcane. He clutched his shirt as the life seeped out of her. She clutched his shirt as the life seeped out of her. "Medic!" he cried as he eased her onto the ground. "Is there a doctor here? Please, someone help!" And he pressed his hand over the wound to stem the blood, but removed it when she made a choking sound. "Come on!" he screamed at the crowd, and a couple of peacekeepers were shouting their way toward him, shouldering their way toward him, but too much slowly. Coriolanus glanced over in time to see the District 10 girl retrieve the cheese sandwich and take a furious bite before the bullets pierced her body, slamming her into the bars. She slipped into a heap as her blood commingled with Arcane's. Bits of half-chewed food fell from her mouth and floated in the red pool. The crowd surged back as panicked people tried to flee the area. The fading light added a level of desperation. Coriolanus saw one small boy fall and watched his leg get trampled before a woman yanked him up from the ground. Others weren't so lucky. Arcane's lips made a soundless word that he could not decipher. When her breathing stopped abruptly, he guessed it was pointless to try to resuscitate her. If he forced air into her mouth, wouldn't it only spill out the gaping wound in her neck? Festus was next to him now, and the two friends exchanged helpless looks. Stepping back from Arcane, Coriolanus flinched as the red shiny stuff coating his hands, and he turned and found Lucy Gray huddled against the bars of the cage. Her face was hidden in her ruffled skirt, her body was shaking, and he realized that he was shaking as well. That's how it was with him. The wash of blood, the whiz of bullets, the scream in the crowd all caused flashbacks to the worst moments of his childhood. Rebel boots pounding through the streets, he and the grandmama pinned down by gunfire, dying bodies twitching all around them, his mother on the blood-stained bed, stampedes during food riots and smashed faces, moaning people. He took immediate steps to mask his terror, cramming his hands into fists at his side, trying to take slow, deep breaths. Lucy Gray began to vomit, and he turned away to keep his own stomach in check. Medics appeared, lifting Arcane onto a stretcher. Others assessed those who had been wounded by stray bullets or trampled by the feet of the audience. What's the matter, honey? What's the matter? You're all done? You all done? Let me rock her for a second, and then I'll hand her back to you. What? You want to rock her? Let me just give her a little burp real quick and see if she's comfy. Yeah. You okay? She's a little wiggly. Yeah, are you a little wiggly? Yeah. Let me just let her do this and then I'll give her to you. Okay. You want to hug Grandma? Here. Grandma's got you. Come here. You get her. She's not on it. They can't see her. Don't worry. I know how to do it. I've been doing this a long time. But apparently not this part. There we go. Okay, here we go. Back at it. Medics appeared, lifting Arcane onto a stretcher, and others assessed those who had been wounded by stray bullets or trampled by the feet of the audience. A woman was in his face asking if he was hurt. Was this his blood? Once they confirmed that it wasn't his blood, they gave him a towel to wipe himself off and moved on. As he scrubbed at the blood, he spotted Sejanus kneeling near a dead tribute. He reached through the bars, and he seemed to be sprinkling a handful of something white over her body as he mumbled some words. Coriolanus only caught a glimpse before a peacekeeper came and pulled Sejanus back. The soldiers were swarming at the place now, clearing out the remains of the audience and lining up the tributes along the back of the cage with their hands on top of their heads. Calmer, Coriolanus tried to catch Lucy Gray's attention, but her eyes were locked on the ground. A peacekeeper took him by the shoulders and gave him a respectful but firm push towards the exit. He found himself following Festus up the main path. They stopped at a water fountain and worked a bit more on removing the blood. Neither knew what to say. Arcane hadn't been his favorite person, but she had always been in his life. They'd played together as babies. They'd been at birthday parties, stood on ration lines, attended classes together. She'd been dressed in head-to-toe black lace at his mother's funeral, and he'd cheered her brother's graduation just only last year. As a part of the wealthy old guard at the capital, she was family, and you didn't have to like your family. The bond was just a given.
I couldn't save her, he said. I couldn't stop the blood. I don't think anyone could have saved her, but at least you tried. That's what matters, Festus consoled him.
Clemencia found them, her whole body trembling in distress as they made their way out of the zoo together.
Come to my place, Festus said when they reached his apartment.
He'd only just suddenly broken into tears. They saw him on the elevator and said goodnight. It was not until Coriolanus had walked Clemencia home that they remembered the assignment that Dr. Gall had given them, the proposal about sending tributes food in the arena, and the option to bet on them.
Well, surely she won't still be expecting that, said Clemencia. I couldn't do it tonight. I couldn't possibly think about it, without Arcane. Coriolanus agreed, but on the way home he thought about Dr. Gall. She would be just the type to penalize them for missing such a deadline, regardless of the circumstances. Maybe he should write something up, just to be on the safe side. When he climbed the 12 flights to his apartment, he found the grandmama in a state, railing at the districts and airing out her best black dress for Arcane's funeral. She flew at him, patting her chest and arms, making sure that he was uninjured. Tigress simply wept. I can't believe that Arcane is dead. I just saw her this afternoon at the market. She was buying those grapes. He comforted them, and he did his best to reassure them of his safety.
Look, it won't happen again. It was a freak accident, and now the security is bound to be even tighter.
When the whole thing calmed down, Coriolanus went to his bedroom, stripped off the blood-stained uniform, and headed for the bathroom. In the near scalding water of the shower, he scoured the remainder of Arcane's blood from his body. Scored. For a moment, just a minute, a painful sobbing made his chest ache, but then it passed, and he wasn't sure if it had to do with sorrow over her death or the unhappiness over his own difficulties. Probably a little bit of both. He pulled on a worn silken robe that had been his father's, and he decided to take a shot at the proposal. It wasn't as if he would be able to sleep, not with the burbling sound of Arcane's throat still fresh in his ear. No amount of rose-scented powder could temper that. Losing himself in the assignment helped to calm him, and he preferred working in solitude, not having to parry through the thoughts of his classmates diplomatically. Without interference, he created a simple but solid proposal. Reflecting on the classroom discussion with Dr. Gall and the electricity in the audience when they'd fled the starving tributes at the zoo, he focused on the food. For the first time, sponsors would be able to buy items, a piece of bread, a chunk of cheese, to be delivered by drone to a specific tribute. A panel would be established to review the nature and the value of each item. A sponsor would have to be a capital citizen in good standing who was not directly related to the games. This ruled out game makers, mentors, peacekeepers assigned to guard the tributes, and any of the aforementioned parties' immediate family members. When it came to this idea of betting, he suggested a second panel to create a venue that would allow capital citizens to wager on the victor, establishing the odds and overseeing the payments to the winners. Proceeds from either program would be funneled towards the cost of the games, making them essentially free for the government of Panem. Oh, that's exciting. Enjoy seeing your grandma, Isabella. Coriolanus worked steadily until Friday morning dawned, and as the first rays came through his window, he dressed in a clean uniform and tucked his proposal under his arm, and left the apartment as quietly as possible. Dr. Gall wore several hats between her research, military, and academic duties, so he had to venture a guess as to where her desk might be located. Since it was Hunger Games business, he walked to the imposing structure known as the Citadel, which housed the War Department. The peacekeepers on duty had no intention of letting him into the high-security zone, but they assured him that the pages of the proposal would be placed on her desk. That was the best that he could do. As he walked back to the Corso, the screen that had shown only the seal of Panem in the early hours came to life with the events of the previous night. Again and again they aired the tribute, slitting Arcane's throat, him arriving to help her, and the gunning down of the murderer. He felt strangely detached from the action, as if it had been his emotional reserve that was depleted by his brief outburst in the shower. Since his initial reaction to Arcane's death had been somewhat lacking, he was relieved to see that cameras had only recorded his attempt to save her, the moment when he appeared brave and responsible. You would only notice his shaking if you looked closely for it. He was particularly pleased to catch a quick shot of Livia Cardew flailing her way through the crowd at the sound of the gunfire. In rhetoric class, she had once attributed his inability to decipher the deep meaning of a poem to the fact that he was too self-absorbed, the irony coming from Livia, of all people. But actions spoke louder than words, and Coriolanus came to the rescue, and Livia to the nearest exit. By the time he reached home, Tigress and the grandmama had recovered somewhat from the shock of Arcane's death and were declaring him a national hero, which he waved off but secretly relished in. Bless you. He should have been exhausted, but he felt nervous energy running through him, and the announcement that the academy would still be holding classes gave him a boost. Being a hero at home had its limitations. He needed a larger audience. After a breakfast of fried potatoes and cold buttermilk, he made his way to the academy with the somberness that the occasion demanded. Since he was known to be Arcane's friend, and he had proven it by trying to save her, he seemed to have been designated the chief mourner. In the hallways, condolences came from every side, along with praise for his action. Someone suggested that he cared for her like a sister, and although he had done nothing of the sort, he allowed that thought. No need to disrespect the dead. As the dean of academy, it should have been Highbottom who led the school-wide assembly, but he did not make an appearance. Hey, Lorenzo. Instead, it was Satria who spoke of Arcane in glowing terms, her audacity, her outspokenness, her sense of humor, all the things that Coriolanus thought as he dabbed at his eyes were so annoying about her. Is her arm okay? Oh yeah, no, the other one. Seems okay, right? Oh, careful. There we go. That's better. Yeah, okay. Oh, hi, sweetheart. I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, sweetheart. Oh, it doesn't sound good at all. Your mommy told us about it. It didn't sound good. We don't like sick. All the things Coriolanus thought as he dabbed at his eyes that were so annoying about her and had ultimately brought on her death. Professor Sickle took the mic and commended him, and to a lesser extent Fetus, for their response to their fallen comrade in arms. Hippocrata Lunt, the school counselor, invited anyone with grief issues to visit her office, especially if they were having violent impulses towards themselves or others. Satria came back and announced that Arcane's official funeral would be the following day, and the entire student body would attend to honor her memory. It would be aired live to all of Panem, so they were encouraged to look and behave as befitted the youth of the capital. They weren't allowed to mingle, to remember their friend, and to console one another. Classes would resume after lunch. After a gloppy fish salad on toast, the mentors were scheduled to meet with Professor Demiglass again, although no one really felt like going. It didn't help that the first thing he did was pass out a mentor sheet updated with the tribute's name, saying, "This should facilitate keeping track of your progress in the games." And it just shows, I'm not going to read all of it because we already read it before, but it just shows all the districts and who they're assigned to. Coriolanus, along with several other people around him, automatically crossed the name of District 10's girl off, but then what? It would make no sense. It would make sense to cross Arcane's name off as well, but that felt different. His pen hovered over her name and then left it alone for a moment. It seemed pretty cold to scratch her off like that. Oh, careful. She can sit like that. It's better for her to sit than stand. No, don't do that, please. Don't do that. No. Mom, she can't do that. That's not gonna happen.
I didn't have you.
Yeah, I don't like it though. It doesn't make me feel good. Just because things were done in the 80s doesn't mean they're done now. Careful for little leggies though. Here. You gotta make sure her little late. No, well, yeah, but if you're gonna sit her up, they'll go the other way. You wanna sit her up? She likes to sit up. There. Yeah, that's a good way to sit. Very nice. Very nice. That's perfect. Okay. Oh, that looks great. Okay. But then what? It would make sense to cross off Arcane's name as well, but that felt different. His pen hovered over her name and left it alone for a moment. It seemed pretty cold to scratch her off the list like that. Mom. Sorry, we're reading. About 10 minutes into class, a note arrived from the office instructing him and Clemencia to leave class and report immediately to the Citadel. This could only be in response to his proposal, and Coriolanus felt a combination of excitement and nervousness. Did Dr. Gall like the proposal? Hate it? What did it mean? Since he hadn't bothered to tell her about his proposal, Clemencia was put out. I can't believe you wrote up some proposal while Arcane's body was still warm. I cried all night long. Her puffy eyes backed up that claim. Yeah, well, it's not like I could sleep either, Coriolanus objected. After holding her while she died, work kept me from freaking out. I know. Everyone handles grief differently. I didn't mean it to sound like that, she sighed. So what is this thing that I supposedly co-wrote? Coriolanus gave her a quick overview, but she seemed annoyed. I'm sorry. I meant to tell you... Sorry, hey, this is him. I'm sorry. I meant to tell you. It's pretty basic stuff, and some of it we already discussed as a group. Look, I already got 1 demerit this week. I can't afford to let my grades take a hit, too. Did you at least put my name on it? I don't want to seem like I was too feeble to pull my weight, she said. I didn't put anyone's name on it. It was more of like a class project. Coriolanus threw up his hands in exasperation. Honestly, Clemmy, I thought I was doing you a favor. Okay, she said, relenting. I guess I owe you, but I wish that I'd at least had the chance to read it. Just cover for me if she starts grilling us about it, okay? You know, I will. She'll probably hate it anyway, he said. I mean, I think it's pretty solid, but she's been operating under a totally different rule book. Yeah, that's true, Clemencia agreed. Do you think that there will even be a Hunger Games now? He hadn't thought of that. I don't know. With Arcane and then the funeral, if they happen, they'll definitely be delayed, I suppose. I mean, I know you don't like them anyway. Do you? Does anyone really like them? Clemencia asked. Well, maybe they'll just send the tributes home. The idea was not entirely unappealing when he thought of Lucy Gray. He wondered how the fallout from Arcane's death was affecting her. Were all the tributes being punished? Would they allow him to even see her? Yeah, or they'll make them Avoxes or something, said Clemencia. It's awful, but it's not as bad as the arena. I mean, I'd rather be alive without a tongue than dead. Wouldn't you? I would, but I'm not sure my tribute would, said Coriolanus. Can you still sing without a tongue? I don't know. Hum, maybe. They had reached the gates of the Citadel. This place used to scare me when I was little. It still scares me, said Coriolanus, which made her laugh. At the Peacekeeper station, their retinas were scanned and checked against the Capitol files. Their book bags were taken, and a guard escorted them down a long gray corridor and onto an elevator that plunged down at least 25 floors. Coriolanus had never been so far underground, and surprisingly, he found he liked it. Much as he loved the Snow's penthouse apartment, he felt vulnerable when the bombs had fallen during the war. Here, it seemed that nothing could reach him. We're reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's the 4th Hunger Games book, but it's the first in time. So it happens first in like a timeline, but it's the 4th published. As the elevator doors parted, they stepped into a gigantic open laboratory. Rows of research tables, unfamiliar machines, and glass cases spread out into the distance. Coriolanus turned to the guard, but she closed the doors and left them without giving further instructions. Shall we? He asked Clemencia, and they began to make their way cautiously into the lab. I have a terrible feeling that I'm going to break something, she whispered, and they walked along the wall of glass cases 15 feet high. Inside the menagerie of creatures, some familiar, some altered to a point that no label could easily be attached, roamed and panted and flopped around in apparent unhappiness. Oversized fangs and claws and flippers switched at the glass as they passed. A young man in a lab coat intercepted them and led them to a section of reptile cases. Here they found Dr. Gall peering into a large terrarium filled with hundreds of snakes. They were artificially bright. Their skin was almost glowing in shades of neon pink, yellow, and blue. No longer than a ruler and not much thicker than a pencil. They twisted into a psychedelic carpet that covered at the bottom of the cage. Oh, here you are, said Dr. Gall with a grin. Say hello to my new babies. Hello there, said Coriolanus, putting his face close to the glass to see the wriggling mess. They reminded him of something, but he couldn't think of what. Is there a point to their colors? Asked Clemencia.
There's a point to everything, or nothing at all, depending on your worldview, said Dr. Gall. Which brings me to your proposal. I like it. Who wrote it? Just you two? Or did your brassy friend weigh in before her throat was cut? Clemencia pressed her lips together, upset. But then Coriolanus saw her face tighten. She was not going to be intimidated. The whole class did it as a group project. And Orkane was planning to help write it up last night, but then, well, as you said, he added. But you two forged ahead. Is that it? Asked Dr. Gall. Yeah, that's right, said Clemencia. We wrote it up at the library and I printed it out at my apartment last night and then I gave it to Coriolanus so he could drop it off this morning, as assigned. Dr. Gall addressed Coriolanus. Is that how it happened? Coriolanus felt put on the spot. Yeah, I did drop it off this morning, yes. Well, I mean, just to the peacekeepers on guard. I wasn't allowed inside, he said evasively. Something was strange about this line of questioning. Why? Was that a problem? I just wanted to make sure that you both had your hands in it, said Dr. Gall. I can show you the parts the group discussed and how they were developed into the proposal, he offered. Yes, do that. Did you bring a copy? She asked. Clemencia looked at Coriolanus expectantly. No, I didn't, I said. He wasn't thrilled with Clemencia laying this at his door when she'd been too shaken to even help write the thing, especially since she was one of the most formidable competitors for the Academy Prize. Did you? They took our book bags, Clemencia said as she turned to Dr. Gall. Perhaps we could use the copy that we gave you? All right, well, we could, but my assistant lined this very case with it while I was having my lunch, she said with a laugh, and Coriolanus stared down at the mass of wriggling snakes with their flicking tongues. Sure enough, he could catch phrases of his proposal between their coils. Suppose you two retrieve it, Dr. Gall suggested. It felt like a test, a weird Dr. Gall test, but still, somehow planned. He couldn't begin to guess to what end. He glanced at Clemencia and tried to remember if she was afraid of snakes, but he scarcely knew if he himself was. They didn't have snakes in their lab at school. She gave Dr. Gall a clenched smile. Of course, do we just reach in through the trap door on the top? Dr. Gall removed the entire cover. Oh no, let's give you some room. Mr. Snow, why don't you start? Coriolanus reached in, slowly feeling the warmth of the heated air. That's right, move gently. Don't disrupt them, Dr. Gall instructed, and he scooped his fingers under the edge of his sheet of his proposal and slowly slid it out from under the snakes. They slumped down into a heap, but didn't seem to mind much. I don't think they even noticed me, he said to Clemencia, who looked a little green. All right, here I go then. She reached into the tank. They can't see too well, and they hear even less, said Dr. Gall. Oh, but they know you're there. Snakes can smell you using their tongues, and these mutts even more than the others. Clemencia hooked a sheet with her fingernail and lifted it up, and the snakes stirred. If you're familiar, they have a pleasant association with your scent, a warm tank, for instance. And then they'll ignore you. A new scent, something foreign, would be a threat, said Dr. Gall. You'd be on your own, little girl. Coriolanus had just begun to put two and two together when he saw the look of alarm on Clemencia's face, and she yanked her hand from the tank, not before half a dozen neon snakes sank their fangs into her flesh. Okay, so in case it wasn't clear what was going on, I think Dr. Gall knew that Clemencia didn't have anything to do with it and was testing her because she didn't have her scent on the paper. She claimed that she had printed it and gave it to Coriolanus, but we all know she didn't, and Dr. Gall apparently knows she didn't. So, whoa, there's that. Yeah, revealed the liar for sure. Dr. Gall is a sneaky one. So I'm going to go because we do have class later today. If anyone has not signed up for class, all the info is on my public Patreon right now so that you know what you need to get if you want to join class. Classes for levels, team live stream, and above. So you can feel free to join that level today if you want to join class. And I will see you all at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to learn how to make putty. All right, have a great day, guys. Bye.